Hi, this is Street Life and I'm Natasha, back at it with a recap and discussion of the original Top Boy, Summerhouse Season 1, Episode 4. So, Pernell's mom, Lisa, is back home. With her being gone, he's kind of been at home by himself. He'd moved things around, more to his liking, or where he thought things should be. So with her now back, there's a period of adjustment with them being back home together, but also in a physical sense in that when she left home, she left things in a particular place. And with him having been home by himself, he's moved them to places that made more sense for him, places that seem more efficient or logical for him. They kind of have like a catching up period, right? Catching up on things that have changed in his life that, never mind it being such a short span of time. It's like, she hasn't been gone for like a year or anything like that. It seems like it's maybe more a few weeks, something along those lines. But in that short space of time, several things have happened to Ray now. He's on the verge of going from boy to young man. And so with that, there's a lot going on. And in becoming a young man, there's certain things that he keeps from her, especially for her to have been gone during this period, no matter how short, she's missed out on some things. Raynell lies to her and tells Lisa that he's going out with Jim, that he's going to go do homework at his house. But the reality is that he's going to the weed spot, to Vincent's weed spot, to meet up with Heather, is her name? Well, the lady that grows weed, right? And as him and Jim are walking on the estate, they come across members of Dushane's crew, right? And so dressed in like a ham-handed fashion, kind of lacking the grace to smooth things over with Jim, like he wants to apologize without apologizing. And he came on a bit too strong in his, well, he did come on too strong in his handling of Jem before, chasing him down and stuff like that. And so I'm pretty sure that he's the one that killed the dog, just really completely overboard. But that speaks to his lack of maturity and emotional intelligence. He kind of lacks the life experience, and beyond pulling these kids in, they don't really know how to deal with them in a mature fashion. It's not that far behind him, right? Dushane as well, he's a little bit more calm than the other two, but not that much better. He's a little bit more logical and willing to take a few minutes to think things through, but he's just as ruthless. And so with that, it's like one of those things. Once that trust is broken, it's hard to get back. And I think Dushane's approach of not jumping the gun on anyone or anything, that's the right method to take. But Driss and Sully, their overly aggressive approach of really laying into this kid has brought some distance between them. It's like there's a good chance that he's never going to forgive them, because even with him making excuses and whatnot, like his apology is a non-apology. He just offers excuses, doesn't accept responsibility. He offers Jem money to buy a dog, and the money isn't even like the amount that you'd need to buy a dog. And it's like, it's not a matter of getting any dog as well. It's that he bonded with and cared about this dog, and now it's gone. It just shows like a lack of emotional intelligence and maturity. Like not at all understanding how to reconnect and make the situation right with this kid. It's caused serious damage to their relationships, to their friendship. Jem, this kid that previously was willing to take money from every and anybody, when Driss in this situation tries to push some money into his hand as a means of correcting the situation, thinking that giving him money would be okay, Jem doesn't protest in the moment, but instead he walks off and just throws it in the trash. He does have some principles. Because of that breach of trust, it's like, this is someone that he doesn't want anything from. He knows better than to outright reject the offer of money, but instead he walks off and dumps it in the trash. It tells you just how damaged that relationship is, how much the dog meant to him. I actually find it to be pretty messed up that Raynell is helping this lady with her weed crop, right? She's his mother's friend. She hangs out with his mom. And here it is that you have this lady's son helping you to grow weed. It's like, she has a regular job, so this is something that she does on the side, and she's asked him for help because of her medical situation, being pregnant and needing, I guess, to be off her feet. Just her asking him to help, knowing that she is friends with Lisa, or even just in general, seems wrong. Here's this kid that you're getting into what could potentially be a problematic situation. Vincent seems very greedy. And here it is that you put him in the middle of this stuff. It's like, some friend you are. Vincent plays hardball with Heather. So Heather quotes a price of like $4,000 a kilo, whereas Vincent states 3,000. But Raynell tells her that he knows someone who might want to purchase the weed, which is Dushane. Typically, they don't really deal in weed. They're more into like selling hard drugs. But given the quantity and potential quality, it sounds like it might be a good opportunity. This is another instance of Dushane and Sully versus Driss having like different perspectives, where Dushane tells him, to bring a sample and they'll consider it. Meanwhile, Sully is looking at it like, this kid is stupid, because why would they even consider paying for something that they can just steal? It just shows you the difference in their perspective. It's like when Bobby calls, he wants to just meet with Dushane. As during their previous meeting when they met about Dushane having killed Lee, which was one of his workers, Sully kind of flew off the handle. It goes back to this thing of him lacking self-control. And the boss actually points that out, that Sully's a liability. He actually asked for Dushane to come and meet him by himself without Sully because he's so unpredictable. He goes from 0 to 10 without warning. And as Bobby points out to Dushane, the business they're in, it's problematic enough with this hot-headed guy out here who does things and then asks questions after. It's like he'll just create problems. So they're sitting out in the little market spot where they hang out, and Dushane realizes that Sully is still carrying the gun that they used to kill Kamali. So it's like, now, should they get picked up for any reason, ballistics might tie that gun to the murder. Granted, it sounds like the police haven't found Kamali as yet, but the point is that the gun has a body on it. Your best bet would be to take that gun, dump it, and hope that no one finds it. But here it is that he's still riding around with this firearm. Dushane tries to speak reason to him, but he just has this thing of, I'm going to do my own thing. I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. And his thought process is just off. He refuses to listen to reason. I kind of agree with Bobby that he's a liability. He's a problem. He's all muscle and no brain. He's just alpha. So it's there's no real thought process. There's no bigger picture, no long-term vision or anything like that. It's he's just fishing out there ready to shoot everything, but not really thinking from a business perspective of dealing. It's even with this kid, right? With Raynell, $4,000, which you can then deal and have a street value of $7,000. That's $3,000 in profit off the bat for you. Why rob him when this could go on to be a potential source of weed on an ongoing basis, a way for you to diversify your products? But it's he's thinking for the here and now, but not long term. And not to say that Dushane is any better or he's a paragon of virtue, but just that their thought process is different. The difference between Dushane and Sully, it's the difference between gangsters and hustlers, right? Gangsters are out there and they're just body, right? Committing acts of violence and things like that. Whereas hustlers are thinking about how to make money. They're not the same people. People get them confused. You can do both, but a lot of people tend to be one or the other. And they're not the same, as we see that here. It's the two of them together could effectively work, but with Sully kind of lacking a control valve and not wanting to listen to reason, instead of being an asset, it seems far more often he can end up being a liability. Dushane recognizes the opportunity both to obtain the weed at a good price and possibly a good source in the future, as well as the potential to gain a smart addition to the team in the form of Raynell. And with that, he kind of warns Sully off of the kid to just leave him alone. Let's just buy the weed, go about it the right way. But Sully being Sully, he instead tells Driss to follow Raynell, which he does. And Raynell, after setting things up with Dushane, he's followed by Driss back to where they're growing the weed, back to the farm. Driss then calls Sully, and being the hothead that he is, they approach Raynell and pretty much rob him. But Heather, the lady that grows the weed, has informed Raynell's mom that, she's put this boy in danger, right? And so with that, they call Leon, and he goes looking for Raynell. He arrives somewhat on time to kind of help, but gets into a scuffle with Sully. And it's to be honest, when I watched before, I had a different perspective. But watching this time around, I really don't like Sully. I think he's an idiot, and so is Driss. But they get into a scuffle with Leon, and with Leon getting the better of Sully, like you can see, like this guy, he can handle himself, right? He seems like he's about that. Like he probably was a problem back in his day. But with him getting the better of Sully, and at the same time between him and, Raynell handling Driss, Sully pulls out a gun that he used to kill Kamali and shoots Leon in the abdomen, at which point they grab the bag of drugs and run off, leaving Raynell and Leon, right, with Leon bleeding out. This after he was just trying to do the right thing, which is really unfortunate. He seems like an upstanding guy. And here you see, I could just imagine the impact that's going to have on Raynell. It's like, and for this crew, it's like they're just burning bridges along the way. It's like it's going to bring bad blood between you and this kid. I think this is why, Bobby feels like there's a bit too much noise being made at Summerhouse and they prefer to keep things a bit quiet. Sully certainly doesn't help matters by killing Leon in broad daylight where anyone could see. And so he's just bringing unwanted attention. Dushane goes looking for Sully and talks to him, takes the gun off of him, and goes to meet with Bobby again. This discussion of Dushane splitting off from Sully. As Bobby explained that Dushane needs to cut ties from him because Sully's going to bring him down, which I think there's some validity to that statement, but he's probably not the right person to be making it. And so whereas the two of them meet up, and his proposed plan is that Dushane bring the gun that Sully at that point used to kill Kamali, that they used to kill Kamali, and then also used to kill Leon, to bring the gun, and they'll turn it over to police. The plan is to get Sully arrested for these two murders as being in possession of the gun, and then with these murders, he would go to jail for a very long time, thereby solving this problem for Dushane. But instead, Dushane double-crosses Bobby, shoots him, and plants the gun on him to make it look like he'd kill these two other people, and, whenever they get around to finding Kamali, but that he's killed these two people and now has killed himself. The reason being that there's certainly some validity to the argument that Sully's unpredictable, uncontrollable, and makes foolish decisions, which Dushane recognizes. But given they're friends, Dushane's loyalty is more important, right? Which is to tell you, this is a dirty business. I don't know how many different ways to say it, right? That there's no trust amongst these people. There's some loyalty there, but you kind of have to ask yourself, is it misplaced? Because they've gotten deeper and deeper into things because of Sully and his sloppiness. First off, him using too much force when he hit Kamali's cousin, Sean, and killing him. Then the whole situation with Raynell robbing him, where they could have just as easily paid for the drugs and gone about their business and still made money. He instead kills Leon in broad daylight. And it's just one thing after another of him in particular being reckless. There's enough problems from the outside, much less to have this person inside that's also a liability. And so with that, Dushane, he cleans up the situation, but lets it be known to Sully that things are going to have to work differently from here on out. Thus far, it sounds like the two of them have been partners on equal footing, but honestly, Sully's not a leader. He's muscle. He's fine in that regard, but he needs direction. And ultimately, I think that given his reluctance to follow orders, he seems really sensitive to Dushane giving him orders or telling him what to do. So at times, Dushane tells him, we're doing A, or, let's do B, but really A is the right answer. It's Sully just doesn't think, right? And I feel that impulsiveness is going to continue to be an issue. Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and check out my Top Boy playlist. Go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.